Well, hello, hello, hello. It is Latanya Washington, your customer journey strategist, helping you regain relevance in customer relations. And when we talk about regaining relevance or gaining relevance, we're talking about you focusing in on what people need right now and you building trust, consistently building trust in the process and providing them with those small wins. All right. When we provide people with small wins, they stay around because once again, we are building the trust factor. All right. And so today, during our online session, you guys, we're focusing in on dealing with the crisis when we're talking about our customer relations and our clientele. Now, there is a difference between a crisis and a customer complaint. All right. And so when we talk about a crisis, you all, we're talking about there being a problem or a situation that is affecting everyone, multiple people, all at once. It begins to show the instability of your company or an organization. And so when that happens, we have to spring into action quickly. You all remember the time when, what was that? We talked about the chicken sandwiches that everyone was coming out with. I believe Popeyes had a chicken sandwich, Chick-fil-A had a chicken sandwich. Next thing you know, Wendy's had a chicken sandwich. Burger King now has a chicken sandwich. Everybody was coming out with these spicy chicken sandwiches. Well, what happened, as you all may recall, or you can even Google it, Popeyes ran out of these chicken sandwiches. Well, guess what? It affected everyone. It showed the instability of the organization. And so therefore, it affected multiple people. All right. And so when we're dealing with that, that's what we talk about when we're coming into that crisis. And so I want to make sure that you understand the difference between the two, because we'll have customers who have complaints, and you can deal with that. You can deal with that depending on what it is that they come at you with. All right. That's a complaint. It hasn't reached that crisis mode now. When we're talking about that crisis and we're looking at what is it that you can do in the situation. Now, depending on where you are, whether you are the owner, whether you are that entrepreneur, it's all about you. That small business that you're running, it's all about you. You are in charge, or you're literally the employee that's working for a nonprofit organization. You got to spring into action and you got to start fixing that problem now. Now, that means what you can begin to do is at that point, because we have to spring into action quickly, we got to shut everything down. We got to shut things down so more people don't start coming at us about the same situation, because now we have to rectify it. And so that means maybe we have to contact IT. Maybe we need to contact Amazon because our products are not being shipped out in the fashion in which it is supposed to be shipped out in. We have to also apologize to everyone verbally. It could mean we have to send out an email to each client, our customer. We have to go to social media and share that information, because trust me, if there's a crisis happening, people are going to social media and they're going to start talking about you. Okay, so we need to go back and we have to say, okay, wow, this happened to us. That's what happened with when it came to Popeyes and the chicken. I mean, they had to let people know we no longer have these chicken sandwiches, these spicy chicken sandwiches. We so apologize. When you come back, there'll be a 2-for-1. They're giving things away, because we have to go back and we have to fix it. All right. And so that means we got to shut it down, because we got to spring into action quickly. And this is why, once again, we got to have all these procedures, all these processes in place. What do we do with crisis management? So a lot of times we have to go out and we have to seek help and say, if this happens, what should we do next? We have to literally look at every aspect of our business and say, what if? Just in case this happens, what is it that I need to do? That is the process of handling a crisis. And when we're looking at continually staying connected and building those relationships with our present clientele, you all, we have to stay on point. Once again, sending out those emails, making those phone calls, apologizing for what happened, listening to the situation. If we have to spend out more money to make things right, then that is exactly what we have to do, because we don't want these crises to happen all the time or on a consistent basis, because it decreases our credibility, it removes the trust factor, and people are no longer an advocate of what it is that we represent or what we're putting out into the market. And guess what? Now we have to begin to build ourselves over again. And so we want to stay away from going into crisis. And so what does that mean we need to begin to do, you all? That means every so often we have to go back and we have to check. We have to audit things, and we have to say every month, every 2 months, every quarter, we're going to go in and we're going to make sure everything is set up. Do we have enough things in stock? If we're getting products across the waters internationally, do we have a backup system to where if they begin to falter, is there someone else that we can connect to as well? So we have to begin to look at, do I have enough downloadables? Do I have it to where if there's a glitch in this system here, what can I do? Can we ship this out? Can we ship this information out? Do we need to go into manual mode? What is it that we need to do if we're dealing with a crisis? All right. So remember this, when you're going into a crisis mode, evaluate, is this just a complaint coming from 1, 2, maybe 3 customers, or is everybody dealing with this situation? That means we got to stop. Remember that thing we talked about, stop and roll when there's a fire? You have to stop. And we have to fix this now, because it will affect your bottom line and it will send you out of business immediately. Because once again, people do not have to come to you. They have other people that they can go to. They may have loved you. But we live in a society now where it's all about people want things now. That's what we're talking about, regaining relevance or staying relevant in customer relations. What can I do to help people get those small wins? Well, we can't provide small wins if we're having crisis all the time. So we have to fix the problem, and we have to get back on track, and we have to jump in crisis mode quickly. So I admonish you, just like we're in this online course now. See, these are times in which you can begin to go back and say, okay, I'm running my business, but what if? We always want to look at our what ifs. We always want to go back and say every so often, every month, every 2 months, I need to make sure that this is working. I need to make sure that the software that I'm utilizing is effective. Is there an upgrade that I need to grab? What is it that I need to do? Do I need to bring on new people, new management, new associates, that just in case, what if something happens, or they're already lined up? Okay. And so we want to begin to look at those things, because you don't want to get yourself in a situation like Popeyes. If you remember, you all, it literally was a nightmare, and it was something that they were not expecting, because things begin to happen if we're not on top of our game. Anything can happen at any time. Sometimes it's beyond our control. But the key thing is we have to get control, because we're the ones responsible for it, and we cannot put the blame on anyone else, because guess what? The customer could care less on who we want to put the blame on. They're looking at you, the person they're talking to, the person that they're interacting with, maybe face to face or via the phone. They're looking at you. And they're looking at you to take on the responsibility of rectifying the situation. All right. And so we want to make sure that we don't get to a crisis mode by checking up, following up, doing audits, making sure this is working. Do I have a backup plan? But if we get into that crisis mode, remembering everything stops, we got to get this fixed. Who do I need to contact? We should already have somebody that in the books who I need to contact. Could be IT. What is it that we need to do? We got to get this fixed right now, immediately. No go past go. Fix it now. All right. So that's what we talk about when we're dealing with a crisis, you all. And I admonish you, even as we're operating and we're dealing with customers, make sure that you put those things in place. And stay away, so we can try our best to stay away from going into crisis mode, because it's not a good look for the company. It's not a good look for the organization, not a good look for your brand. So begin to put those things in places now. Remember the what if. All right. It's LaTanya.